All right, so I'm going to request that you put something on your to-do list this week, and that is to review how the grading system works for our course. Remember, our grading system is unconventional. It's not like the grading systems being used in your other classes, and you want to make sure that you have a really clear understanding of how the grading system works for us so that in a few weeks when our course ends, you walk away with a grade for the course that accurately reflects all the hard work that you've done here and all of the good thinking that you've done. So you want to review the course grading system this week, and there's a couple of different ways you can do that. One way is you could go all the way down to the bottom of the modules page, and you'll see there's the Start Here course overview module, and in there you'll find a link to the page you were on at the very first week of the semester, where there are these short videos that provide a course overview, and the third video is the one that goes over the grading system. So you could simply watch that video, get a sense of how the grading system works, and then go on with the rest of your week. If, though, you're just sick of my voice at this point and can't bear to listen to one word more than you absolutely have to, you could click the syllabus link, and that'll take you to a page where you can download your very own copy of the syllabus, skip right to that section that discusses the grading, review it, and then boom, you can go on and rock and roll for the rest of your week. All right, what we got on our plate this week is the topic of abortion, which surprisingly, maybe it's not surprising, turns out to be one of the more popular topics of the course each semester. So at the end of every semester, I do an anonymous survey of all the students in the class, trying to get some feedback from them about what we did that worked, what didn't work, what we might do differently or do that we didn't do at all. And one of the things that I always ask is, of all these topics that we covered, which ones should I drop? Or which ones should I change? Or should I add that we didn't cover? And by pretty significant margins every semester, students say keep the abortion topic. And I think the reason for that is that we're not going to explore the politics of abortion. We're not going to get caught up in the noise that sort of pervades our culture on this topic. Instead, we're going to sort of cut through and look at this issue from a philosophic perspective, which is not only way more interesting than all of the political discussions about abortion, but I think it's way more helpful in helping us develop our own thinking on this topic. So you've got a thought primer. And there's a couple of things I want you to take note of in this thought primer. One is it's structured just like all of the others, where you've got some questions you want to think about. Make sure you're fleshing out your responses to the questions that I'm asking you that you submit to me in lots of good detail so that I can get a sense of how your thinking's working and why you're drawing the conclusions that you are. And then, of course, you've got some reading to do. And the reading is a legit work of philosophy by a very famous philosopher named Don Marquis. It's called Why Abortion is Immoral. I'm telling you it's a legit piece of philosophy because it's difficult, as philosophy works oftentimes are. But it's manageable, and it's a really good argument. And by good argument, I don't mean that I or you necessarily have to agree with it. I just mean it's a very good example of somebody who is applying the rules of logic to concepts and taking them to their logical conclusions. So you can read the essay and disagree with Don Marquis and still conclude, wow, this is a really good argument. Of all of the arguments for this position, I think this is one that measures up and can be considered a legitimate argument for this side. So you've got this argument that I want you to try to get through. Just take it paragraph by paragraph. You might find it useful to have a copy of this document here. It's a paragraph by paragraph breakdown of Marquis' argument, where I'm explaining to you, this is what he means by this idea, this is the point he's making in this paragraph, and that can maybe handy for you to have kind of side by side or by your side as you read Marquis' piece. And then, of course, you've got a quiz based on this essay, Why Abortion is Immoral, so you might want to have that quiz open as you're doing your reading so that you can click off the questions there. And then you've got your series of lectures to watch. Now, one other thing I want to bring to your attention is this. In these lectures, I'm going to go over another very famous philosophic essay on this question of abortion, arguing a different position from the Don Marquis piece. And it's a very famous essay that you should just give yourself the opportunity to read. And to do that, you can click on this link right here. You don't have to read this. There's no quiz questions on it. But it's a really interesting and a little bit more accessible piece of philosophy on this question of abortion, and I think you'll find her argument, again, very interesting. And then if you're not completely sick of this topic, I've linked here a podcast by podcaster Barry Weiss, where she's having a discussion with a writer. I think her name's Caitlin Flanagan, and they're having a conversation about abortion. And again, it's a very different kind of conversation than the ones that seem so pervasive in our dying culture these days. So if you're not completely exhausted by this topic by the time you get down here, maybe listen to that Barry Weiss podcast. It's interesting and enjoyable. But again, it's optional. You don't have to. All right, so that is it. I hope you have a good week and have some get some enjoyment out of thinking about this topic and enjoying cutting through some of the political clutter and getting sort of to the heart of this issue and what really matters to you when you're thinking about it. All right, have a fantastic week.